Today I'm going to be sharing with you, as a mortgage and housing expert for the last 18 years, if I'm buying a home that ultimately I either plan to resell or rent, what I am avoiding and what I am looking for. Okay, so if you're new to the channel, I'm a lender. I'm licensed in 48 states. My team's in 50 states. We are here to be your lender. We're ranked one of the top purchase teams in America. So call us. 786-933-2077. Shameless plug over. Okay, let's get into it. Noise. Noise is always number one on my list. I am not going to buy a house that backs up to a freeway. I am not going to buy a house that backs up to a main road. I am not going to buy a house where the planes take off right overhead. I'm not going to buy a house that backs up to a railroad. You know, here's the thing. Sometimes you'll be like, well, this house is a little bit cheaper. Yeah, it's cheaper because of that. And it's going to be cheaper because of that forever, right? And those noise issues often get worse. A highway now that's not really traveled, well, guess what? If they put in 3,000 houses, that thing's going to be popping. Also, there's starting to be reports of environmental health damage from living right under a highway. There's a lot that goes with it. And my general rule is this. If a potential buyer or renter might be worried about something from a noise or health perspective, am I going to buy it? No, because here's the thing. When I go to sell a house, I want as many buyers as possible to be interested. I want them to fight over it. I want to make money. And you don't make money if there's a big issue around the house, okay? So number one, noise. Make sure you're going on Google Earth. I've talked about this in other videos, not just Google Maps, Google Earth, and you're looking for anything and you're paying attention to noise. Don't just go to the house once. I've had multiple clients where they're like, you know, I had one on a train track, one on a highway, and I'm like, are you sure you want to do this? Like, I don't think this is a good idea. No, Jen, I went there, you can't hear the noise. Both of them, within a year, selling the house. Why? The noise, right? A lot of times, like, you may go visit the house that's on the train tracks and there's not a train, so you don't hear it, so you don't know what it's like. Or you might be at the house with the highway, but it's not busy, so you don't hear it, so you don't know. It's when you put your head on the pillow at night that you always hear it. Or if you go to have that first family barbecue, you know, the housewarming, and no one can hear each other because of the noise. So really watch out for that. So yes, I'm looking for big highways, I'm looking for trains, I'm looking for flight patterns. I know, it sounds extra, but it's not. Think about it this way. If you're buying a house and, you know, it's in the flight pattern, but the planes are already pretty high up, the noise is not as bad as if it's literally taking off over your head. And there's parts of the country where it's literally taking off over your head. You could be at an airport right now where you're like, oh, they only have like 3 flights a day. Guys, it could turn into an airport that has 500 flights a day. Like, we see that across the country all the time. You see small areas grow. So if I was looking at a house, would I buy one at that level? Absolutely not. Because like, I hear the stories too. Hey, why are you selling your house? Well, it shakes every time a plane takes off. What? Yeah, no, seriously. We have like earplugs. The kids have ear protection. You know, we're done. Yeah, that's going to make it harder to resell. Okay. Now, beyond the big stuff like that, neighbors, neighbors, oh, those neighbors, man. And look, neighbors are hard to vet, but that's why I tell people drive by a couple times a day. My favorite neighborhoods, oh my gosh, guys, you drop me in a neighborhood of retirees, I am in heaven. That's where I want to buy. Put me on a cul-de-sac with, you know, Barbara and Agatha, and I'm going to have a party because I love that. No noise. Okay. Put me on a cul-de-sac with a bunch of people in their 20s that want to party and there's 50 cars in front of every house. No. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So really pay attention to the neighbors. Now look, if this is your forever home, cool, do what you want. But if you're looking to resell the house down the line or turn it into a rental, this is the stuff you have to think about. I want you to go to these houses and go, what would Jennifer Beeston do? And if you're picturing me going, right? Like, I'm a little bit of a princess. We know that. Don't do it, because there's a lot of Jennifer Beestons out there, and you want to make sure that when you have a house and you're selling it, that the Jennifer Beestons are like, I want it, right? You'll get more money. Okay, so we're going to pay attention to the neighbors. We paid attention to all of that. Environmental concerns. So here's the thing, the stuff about 5G towers, I don't know. Is it going to kill us? Is it not? I'm not sure. Does it give us cancer? I don't know, right? But there's a lot of debate about it. So am I going to buy a house right next to a 5G tower? Absolutely not, because there's a debate about it. And if the debate comes back that it really does harm your health, it's going to make my house harder to sell. Okay, so watch out for stuff like that. You know, gravel mining, even if it's far away, you need to know which way the wind's blowing, because there can be stuff that affects your lungs. You know, really look for potential environmental risks. Even if it's not proven yet, if it's something people are talking about, you have to understand you're going to lose the buyers that are concerned about it, right? I wouldn't buy a house under a 5G tower, beyond the fact that I couldn't resell it, but because I don't know yet. And I don't want to be in a situation where, you know, everyone in my family gets cancer because they find out it's from these towers. Once again, I'm not saying that is proven. I'm just saying that is something people talk about. Okay. And so I would be concerned about that. Okay. What else? Smell. Let's smell together. That's right. Smell's important. So once again, why you're going on Google Earth and Google Maps, farms. There's a lot of hidden farms out there that you just wouldn't even know. Now, is it bad living by a farm? Not if you're a farmer. If you're a farmer, it's super cool. But if you're not a farmer, there's certain stuff that happens with farms that can affect your quality of life. Do I want to live downwind of a pig farm? No, most people don't. Okay. Now look, once again, if you're a farmer, okay. But if you're not a farmer, that's something you want to watch out for, because when you go to resell, if it's summer and it's, you know, sweltering pig smells, you're going to have Jennifer Beeston going, ah, running. We don't want that. We also don't want to lose our renters because of that pig smell. So watch out for farms, watch out for sewage treatment plants. You know, a lot of the sewage treatment plants are modernized and they don't really have an aroma. But that's one of those things where if you're looking at a house and you're like, oh, this is so cheap. It happens to me all the time. I'm always like to my husband, I'm like, Mark, I found it. It's by the beach. It's so beautiful and we can afford it. It's always backing up to a sewage treatment plant every single time. You know, and that's one of those things where people don't necessarily want to live there. You're not going to have as many buyers, you know, just be aware. Same thing with backing up to a power plant, you know. Some people are cool with it. If it's your forever home, great, do it. But if you're looking to resell it ultimately for the highest dollar or get a really good renter, backing up to a power plant is not ideal. Also, they can have some noise, so that's something you want to watch out for. Okay, what else? School districts. So here's the thing. If you're in an area where all the schools are terrible, this doesn't matter, okay? But what I hear a lot is, I don't have kids. It doesn't matter. Okay, are you going to turn it into a rental? Yeah, I want to turn it into a rental in 2 years. Look, here's the thing. Houses in good school districts go for more money traditionally and get a higher rent. And it's because you have parents that want to make sure their kids get in these school districts. So if you can afford a house in a good school district, let's say you're looking at a terrible school district, it's $30K less, you have a good school district, $30K more, you can afford the $30K more, where would I buy? Every day. Every day, because I'm going to make my money back every day. I have way less risk in a good school district. Way less risk, okay? Now, the other thing is, like, if you start getting really, not nitpicky, but like ideal, you know, I talked about cul-de-sacs earlier. Buying on a cul-de-sac's great. They actually have the lowest rate of crime because it's harder for criminals to get out. So cul-de-sacs are great. You know, being on a street can be fine. Do I want to be on the corner of a busy street? No. Noise again, but also if someone has small children, you know, they run out, right? Start thinking like that. Start thinking like that person that's a little uptight, because ultimately when you sell or rent, that may be the best buyer for you. Okay, so these are just a couple of the things that I look out for. You know, another thing is I'm looking at the condition of the house. If the house is in a good condition, I'm usually happier. If it's something I'm gonna have to spend money on, you need to have the money, right? And this stuff's way more expensive, because sometimes clients will be like, well, it's 20K less, but you know, I'll need a new roof. Guys, a roof's gonna be more than 20K. Buy the house in better condition, because it's gonna pay for itself. Having to do work is always an additional cost, an additional problem. And if you're like, well, I'm going to be a landlord, who cares? You're going to care when the tenant's calling you every 3 days saying, it's leaking. I'm not paying my rent, Murray. It's leaking, right? So avoid that. Okay, I could go on for days, but those are the big things that I look for when I'm looking at buying a property to ultimately resell. It's always done good for me over the years, so I hope it helps you as well. Questions, comments, if you want to work with myself and my team, yes, we do your mortgage, but I'm always happy to sit there and talk with you and be like, please don't buy this, or what about this, or what about this? Because the bottom line is your house should be a benefit, not a burden. And by thinking this way up front, it can be something that makes you a lot of money over time. Thanks for watching.